Good afternoon and welcome to today's edition, a special edition of the African Youth Conference, coming to you live from the African Town Hall online television. This afternoon session today is organized to take care of some people whose schedules allow them only to be able to be up here today. Meanwhile, we will begin the conference session by viewing a recorded video of a TEDx talk given by one of Africa's bright lights, Marlens Bart Williams from Sierra Leone. She gave a talk that borders heavily on the reason and purpose of this conference, which we have, where we are discussing on the theme, the African leadership question, problems and prospects. When you hear Mrs. Bart Williams speak, you will find immediately the challenge of leadership in Africa. I want you to listen, follow the video that we played in a short while, and then start a discussion on the best way to deal with the challenges that we face in Africa right now that brought about this conference today. The other ways we want you to participate in this conference is to like the conference sessions and love it, make comments, and ask questions, which both our speakers and myself will have time at the point in these proceedings to respond to you. As you see, many of you, we want you to indicate that you are in attendance at this conference. One of the ways to indicate attendance is to like and love the conference. The other way is to make a comment and ask questions. That way, we'll be able to have a robust discussion on this all-important issue of the African Youth Conference 2020 on the theme, the African Leadership Question, Problems and Prospects. It will now be my privilege to bring through a recorded video, a TEDx talk given by Mrs. Marlens Bart Williams from Sierra Leone, who has spoken on a topic that is central to the issues we are discussing in this conference. This is important. Listen.
Good afternoon. I am Marlens, and I come from the richest country in the world. It is located in the richest continent in the world, in the west of the richest continent. My country is called Sierra Leone. On the surface, we are blessed with infinite beauty and abundance of flora and fauna, producing the most exquisite harvest of coffee, cocoa, fruits, vegetables, and caoutchouc. You name it, we've got it. We also have diverse wildlife and vast marine resources, and waterfalls and rivers that run into the most beautiful beaches. The land is golden, literally, a true paradise, which of course is inhabited by the most beautiful souls. We have a very strong cultural heritage. In fact, Sierra Leone had the first sub-Saharan university. Prior to that, there was one in the Kingdom of Timbuktu, which was the first university in the world, succeeding the great Gnostic schools of Egypt and Osiris. On a deeper level, we are blessed with the real treasures the kings and queens of this world desire. This was the largest alluvial diamond ever found. It weighs almost 1,000 carats, 969 to be precise. This beauty was found by an old lady in her backyard about 2 years ago, 125 carats. Some people mine gold in their backyards. That's quite common. Besides gold and diamonds, we have about 20 precious minerals that have been discovered as of today. We recently started extracting huge petroleum reserves that have been discovered. We have platinum, ilmenite to make titanium, rutile to coat jets, iron ore, the largest iron ore deposits in Africa, the third largest in the world. Tantalite, also known as coltan, used in your mobile phones and computers. Bauxite for aluminum production. Zinc, chrome ore, copper, coal, phosphates, potassium, salt, lead, granite, asbestos, nickel, zircon. Furthermore, we have exquisite timber like mahogany, antique, and we have the most beautiful stamps in the world. Of course, the West needs Africa's resources most desperately to power airplanes, cell phones, computers, and engines. And the gold and diamonds, of course, a status symbol to determine their powers by their core and to give value to their currencies. One thing that keeps me puzzled, despite having studied finance and economics at the world's best universities, the following question remains unanswered. Why is it that 5,000 units of our currency is worth 1 unit of your currency, where we are the ones with the actual gold reserves? It's quite evident that the aid is in fact not coming from the West to Africa, but from Africa to the Western world. The Western world depends on Africa in every possible way, since alternative resources are scarce out here. So how does the West ensure that the free aid keeps coming? By systematically destabilizing the wealthiest African nations and their systems, and all that backed by huge PR campaigns, leaving the entire world under the impression that Africa is poor and dying and merely surviving on the mercy of the West. Well done, Oxfam, UNICEF, Red Cross, Life Aid, and all the other organizations that continuously run multi-million-dollar advertisement campaigns depicting charity porn to sustain that image of Africa globally. Ad campaigns paid for by innocent people under the impression to help with their donations. While one hand gives under the flashing lights of cameras, the other takes in the shadows. We all know the dollar is worthless, while the euro is merely charged with German intellect and technology, and maybe some Italian pasta. How can one expect donations from nations that have so little? It's super sweet of you to come with your colored paper in exchange for our gold and diamonds. But instead, you should come empty-handed, filled with integrity and honor. We want to share with you our wealth and invite you to share with us. The perception is that a healthy and striving Africa would not disperse its resources as freely and cheaply, which is logical. Of course, it would instead sell its resources at world market prices, which in turn would destabilize and weaken Western economies, established on the post-colonial free meal system. Last year, the IMF reports that 6 out of 10 of the world's fastest growing economies are in Africa, measured by their GDP growth. The French Treasury, for example, is receiving about $500 billion year in, year out. foreign exchange reserves from African countries based on colonial debt they forced them to pay. Former French President Jacques Chirac stated in an interview recently that we have to be honest and acknowledge that a big part of the money in our banks comes precisely from the exploitation of the African continent. In 2008, he stated that without Africa, France will slide down in the rank of a third world power. This is what happens in the human world, the world we have created. Have you ever wondered how things work in nature? One would assume that in evolution the fittest survives. However, in nature, any species that is overhunting, overexploiting the resources they depend on as nourishment, natural selection would sooner or later take the predator out.
Thank you. Everyone who have listened to Mrs. Williams will certainly know that she has a hang on what the problem is. And there's a great question coming from one of our viewers, Gadgad. I'm sure this is Gaduski Timfe from Cameroon, who says, after 65 years of independence, can we Africans still blame the West for our predicaments? This question is for the audience. Every one of us who is viewing, after 65 years of independence, can we still continue to blame the West for our problems? This is a great question coming from the video that Mrs. Marlens Bat Williams had just shared. Very critical information she has given out here. So, and these are the things we are considering in this conference. Now, I want you to start sending your answers through the comments column, because we will now be privileged to have Ambassador Sahil Hassan Kama speak to us. He's already in the studios, and in a short while, we'll bring him up and he will be able to speak to us at this conference. But the question that Gadgad has asked, Gadgad is watching from Cameroon. I want that question to be considered by all of us who are viewing this conference, and to start bringing answers and ideas and thoughts on this matter. At this time, it seems Ambassador Hassan or Daniel Sahar's this thing has gone off. I expect he will be back in the studios. But meanwhile, let your response to the question start coming. We need these responses. We have people who are viewing, so we need your comments. That is why this is a conference. After each statement is made, we need to discuss it and then challenge it, debate it, ask questions that bring out a lot more of the knowledge we need, the skill we need to move things forward. After 65 years of independence, can we Africans still blame the West for our predicament? That is the question of the day coming from the audience. And we need responses to this. Every one of us should contribute to that. While we are waiting for Ambassador Sahel Daniel to come back, let us take a message from our sponsors.
Hello, everyone. We would like to introduce you to Graceworth Nigeria Limited. Graceworth Nigeria Limited is a Nigerian-owned and operated company using seasoned and accomplished professionals to execute complex security missions in conjunction with the host government to mitigate risk on behalf of our clients. Our team members have decades of experience in the security sector, bringing a wealth of knowledge and experience that not all security companies are able to offer. The success of the company is based on our unrivaled ability to build and maintain successful partnerships with our customers to provide professional and reliable security services. We pride ourselves on providing highly trained personnel experienced in dealing with the most complex of security issues. Since our formation, we have gained a reputation as a highly experienced company with a young, energetic and forward-thinking management team, offering the highest level of professionalism. We offer the following services. 1. Security awareness and training. 2. Program support and consultancy. 3. Risk assessment and investigations. 4. Executive protection and travel management. You can contact us on +234 807 227 2799 or 0702 525 4858, or visit our office at 14 Buchanan Crescent, off Amanucano Crescent, West 2, Abuja, Nigeria. We would be glad to have you. Graceworth, leave your worries with us.
Okay. Ambassador Daniel Sahe was back on air, and then he just went off again. Well, why that is happening, let's remember we've seen several people appear, and then the love and like is increasing. We appreciate it. We want you to make comments on this question. After 65 years of independence, can we still blame the West for our predicaments? This is a very vital and critical question. And this is what we need to be doing with the social media. We should spend our time on social media asking questions, having cogent discussions, questioning authority, speaking truth to authority, instead of using it to make vapid comments and to play and to ping without a purpose. The social media has a big thing that it can do for Africa in our predicament. That is the dispersal of information. And that's why we are using this particular medium to get at you. That's why our media is mainly the social media. Right now, we are connected and coming live to you from Facebook and YouTube. In future, we will be able to add several other social media automatically as we go. But as this broadcast is going on, our team of technical personnel are already sharing this link in other social media. So if you are in on Instagram, Twitter, and even on WhatsApp, you could be able to view us from all of those locations. We are using social media effectively. We want you to use social media to answer this question brought forward by one of us. In Mrs. Marlen's address, we found out all the injustice and evil that the West have perpetrated on us. But cogent question, after 65 years of independence, can we Africans still blame the West for our predicaments? Please keep your answers coming while we do all we can to bring Ambassador Sahe Daniel from Sierra Leone to the studios. While we are still working to get him to come here and join us, remember the question. Keep the likes coming, keep the love coming, keep your comments coming, keep your questions coming. This is what's most important in a conference. A conference is a time when you hear a talk, then you criticize that talk, you debate that talk. The intention is not to bring down those who spoke, but to pick out critical elements that will help give us the way forward. We have somebody here responding. Wisdom Harvey Wachuku is saying that no, we cannot continue to blame the West for our problems. Thank you very much. That is a very critical response that you're giving there, Brother Wachuku. And one of the things we think that should also happen is, what is the way forward? How can we get out of these challenges that is bedeviling us in Africa? 65 years of independence, and we still have we still have the problem of blaming the white man. And Brawachuku says we cannot continue in the blame game because that will not work. Okay. Are you there now?
I and my colleague presenters have a lot for you guys today. Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's hope your internet will be able to sustain what is going on. We welcome you.
As I
Yeah, can you give us
For the
the
uncle,
name? You
me
are
ask if them
Saheb
hear me or then
Daniel
they see
Bengai.
me.
Okay.
Man, no, they talk like Chris. Man, not the guest. Paddy.
Okay. So you have the floor now. Can you speak at this conference? Can you begin your talk? Can you begin your talk?
Back on our I did take that phone. Guy, they come out the
Um, I think the internet over there is not helping matters a lot. One of the things I want to raise again is this question. We need answers. We've had somebody respond to this question. After 65 years of independence, can we Africans still blame the West for our predicament? And wisdom having what we say no. Now, if you say no, we can't blame them again. What should we be doing? We need responses. All the people viewing, please, this is your time to make your presence felt. We need responses to the question. And if we say we cannot continue to blame them, what should we be doing at this time to improve our situation in Africa? The point that I want and the purpose of why this conference came up is because we cannot continue what we are doing right now and expect to have a life tomorrow. In fact, if we continue with what we are doing right now, before you know it, Africa will be effectively recolonized. Of course, we see the onslaught from the Chinese. You might be looking and saying, hey, how can Britain come again to colonize? It doesn't have to be Britain by name. They Britain and other world powers can even use China, which is the next frontier of aggression in occupying what is other people's land now to take over. In one of the conference speakers, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, told us that in Africa that the the Chinese will soon begin to own lands at the expense of Africans. That is, they are buying up lands in Africa, and Africans can't get land. And at a point, we may have to be paying rent to China for African land. If you are not afraid, if you are not worried about this situation, then that is dangerous. We need to be worried about it and think about what we should do. And journalist Aruna Mohammed from Sierra Leone is saying, yes, indeed, we need to blend the West greatly. Okay, if you say we need to blend the West for what happened, and that's happened at least 65 years ago, they started handing over the countries of Africa to Africans. My question is, why are we still doing exactly the same thing they were doing to us, which we fought against? The fight for independence of African nations is against the colonial masters. I don't call them colonial. Colonial is a blessing, a blessed name for them. These are highway robbers who came with arms and took over Africa from Africans, and expropriated all our resources, um, enslaved our people, uh, destroyed our culture, introduced alien civilization and our culture into our system, and made us lose our identity. That is bad enough. But then we have 65 years in our hands, and we've not done anything with that 65 years. This is the issue. This is the center. Mrs. Williams' talk is one that I love so much. I have both this particular video that I showed, which is the short version of it, and the long version. I have all of them, all her TED talk. And I've been watching her other this thing, and that is a bright star in Africa. But yes, these people had done a lot of mayhem to us. They have harmed us. They have stolen from us. But should we continue to blame them? Is it right for us to sit down and keep blaming these people? Wisdom Wachuku says no. Aruna Muhammad said yes. I want the argument to continue. There are more viewers here than these two people. There are a lot of you. And we need your likes and love to improve this broadcast. And we need your comments and response to the question and other questions to improve this conference section today. So, two people have said, one, we can't continue to blame them. Another said we should continue to blame them. What is your own say? We need to have that. We're expecting your say through comments, which we will pull up and analyze. While waiting for your comments to come, let me share with us the standard, what brought about this conference, so that it will help you as you respond. And this is a good time to view this because we have many
Hello,
during
everyone.
this conference.
You are all welcome to the Africa Youth Conference. We would be discussing about the African leadership question, problems and prospects.
Can we hear the statement of the problem?
The African continent and the African people are currently in the deepest part of a quagmire from the effects of colonialism, continual exploitation, intentional degradation, corruption, ineptitude, nepotism and a blinding brainless ruling class. As a young man myself, I am 64 years of age now. People who promised my generation, the youth back then, that we are the leaders of tomorrow are still ruling in Africa and producing nothing but ruination for the greatest continent made by God on this earth.
The rising generation/youth of Africa, having been beguiled by the text of being the leaders of tomorrow, never learned that tomorrow never comes.
The dominant feeling is that we do not have leaders in Africa. The kindest ways to refer to those who are sitting over the fortunes of Africa are as rulers. Personally, I see those in power in Africa at present, with the exception of Mr. Paul Kagame of Rwanda, as agents of ruin bent on destroying the continent, with the connivance of foreign business and political interests, through the suppression of the youth and all voices of dissent.
From Uganda to Cote d'Ivoire, to Nigeria to Cameroon, with Nigeria being the worst case scenario, we have deadwoods and old men in their 80s and 90s ruling as presidents and senators. Some of these people started ruling from the age of 28 years of age and are now in their 90s and still ruining the continent.
Being totally disconnected to the needs of the future of the continent, represented by the young people of Africa, they have ensured that the educational system is either faulty or does not work at all, with universities opening for only a quarter of the time they are supposed to be open each year.
African rulers, like witches, are happy to kill their young ones. In Nigeria, the Nigeria police force and the military delight in unlawful and extrajudicial killing of their young ones, under guises that does not in any way warrant the use of water cannon for dispersing the people. The #EndSARS protest in Nigeria was murderously quelled by live bullets, reportedly killing over 70 youths.
Our program?
We, at the African Town Hall Online Television, believe that the problem of Africa is leadership. In line with our main objective of helping the rising generations of Africa to speak out, and let their voice be heard, with a view to changing the current detrimental narrative, we have created the African leadership question, problems and prospects.
Wonderful. This program, the African leadership question, problems and prospects, is set up to bring the rising generations together to seek to understand the problem of leadership in Africa and to consider the prospects for the desired change. With us in the studio to discuss this topic are rising generations persons from all over Africa. In this month, December 2020, we would assemble every Wednesday first at 11 a.m. in the morning and then at 9 p.m. Nigerian time to discuss this issue. It is hoped that before the end of December 2020, more than 100 African youth have been able to share their opinion on this matter. At the end, we would articulate a communique that would be read on the last day of our meeting. We invite all African youth to come and participate, both from our studios and from comments on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, to provide direction for the African youth both in the continent and in the diaspora, a way forward for the renaissance of the African continent.
So, join us. And stay tuned, and keep participating.
Thank you. Now we will make an effort to bring forth Ambassador Sahid Daniel from Sierra Leone. Hopefully, his systems may be okay to be able to speak to us. After that, we have more questions coming, and then we will try to take those questions. Hello, my friend. Can you unmute yourself and then speak? Unmute yourself.
That I see some comments. Missy.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Well, I do.
Can you hear me?
This one I just now that they open. Glorious kids. Okay, then the glorious kids.
Can you hear me?
The man I didn't welcome me to now. They are backstage.
Yeah, you are now in the studio. You are now in the studio. Stop doing side talk. Can you hear me? You are now live. Ambassador Sahe, you are live. Can you speak? Ambassador Sahe, you are now live. Can you speak? Hello. Okay, I think our speaker today from Sierra Leone is still having.
Of course, I want
yes.
Again, once more, repeat for me the question so that I'm waiting. Okay.
Okay. What we want you to do is to speak on the theme of the conference for a few minutes, because we are trying to find out how much African youth understand the problem. When you finish speaking, then we'll start the questions. Can you do that?
Can the host please again the question for me, please?
No. Okay. I think the technical issues that had to do with paucity of data, which is a big problem in Africa. This is why we are all here, to deal with these issues once and for all. Well, viewers, thank you for being present in this event today, and I see as many of you come. Thank you very much. Let's have a discussion on this subject, that these questions that have come up. And I want additional contributions, because now we have a challenge in the responses that are available. The first challenge we have is that the question is, at 65 years of independence, can we Africans still blame the West for our predicaments? And then that's the question asked for by Gad from Cameroon. And then we had Wisdom having Wachku from Nigeria say no. And then we have Aruna Mohammed, a journalist in Sierra Leone, say yes, indeed, we need to blame the West greatly. And you know, that is the question on the ground. That's the distance. So we have two sides to the coin saying different things. But there are many of you that I'm seeing on the counter viewing. So I need you to comment, send in your own comments, so that we can bring it up here for discussion. And then as you send in your comment, it will excite other people who are viewing to send in their own. We also want you to keep the love and likes coming, because that will help. Aruna Mohammed has additional comments, which I'd like to pull up. Say, well, independent. Okay, I think he's responding to the second question from Gad. And that question from Gad says, is Africa independent? And Haruna is saying, well, independent or dependent can be relatively understood. We are independently dependent. So What's your take as Africans? Okay, in trying to answer this question, it seems Haruna Mohammed is a Nigerian, and they say Nigerians answer question with question. In trying to answer the question posed by Gad from Cameroon, Haruna Mohammed from Sierra Leone has said, independent or dependent. Uh, in his view, we are independently dependent. And then he's now asking Africans, what's your take? What's your take? Are we truly independent? Africa? Are African nations truly independent? This is a very vital question, and I need us to respond to it. Are we truly independent? What's your take? We have many of you on the chat bar there, and so if you can leave a response to this, it will give this session of the conference its meaning and vibe, which is to help us deal with this thing. God has additional comment, and he has just said, I think it is high time we sue these network companies, okay, for why one can't enjoy services paid for. God, this is part of the problem. If we have leaders in Africa, these foreign investors on the network systems, either the phone call networks, the data networks, or whichever way of them, they won't do what they are doing. You are right. They are not providing any quality service. Call dropping is a common thing in Nigeria. One of the things that have happened to me in being a live online broadcaster is in my house I have two routers from two different networks and a MiFi. So 3 modems plus my phone charged with different networks in the country. Why do I have to have all of them? I will carry this one and work today. In the middle of a broadcast, it will just break down. My data is still there. The money I paid is still running and is broken down. So, and you are saying it's high time we sue these people. Now we have a lot more people on the viewing than we have likes and love. So keep the likes and love coming. And again, respond to this question and comments. Is it high time we sue these companies? What should Africans be doing with these companies? These are multinational. Some of them are foreign investors who invested in Nigeria. It's okay that they invested in Nigeria or other countries in Africa. Thank you for doing that. But then it is not a welfare. And we don't want white man's welfare anymore. If you listen to Mrs. Marlens Bat Williams, welfare is part of our problem. And the speakers on this podium in this conference from Nairo Bambo from Tanzania, who spoke to us first, she clearly said we cannot continue to receive aid from the West. That aid that they give us is evil. She said it clearly. She condemned it, and many other speakers since this conference have condemned it. So even the investment in the network, telephone network, data networks in African countries, it's not an aid. It's not given free. We pay for them. If you have to subscribe before you can use them. So I cannot see why somebody living in Sierra Leone, just a few kilometers away, cannot effectively speak through data for the whole Africa to hear. While if you are in America, right now America is moving all their television and networks to data, which means they have robust data. Why is it that our own is not working? Is it high time we sue these network companies? Africa, what's your take? Is it high time we sue these network companies? That's an additional question from Gad. First, he said, should we continue to blame these people after 65 years? Is Africa really independent? And then, is it not time we sue these people for giving us poor quality data and networks that cannot carry ordinary live broadcasts within Africa? Who was speaking? I watched a TEDx talk by a youngster. I think this lady, this woman should be maybe 16, 17 or thereabout, maybe 18 if she's somebody on the small body size. But she's very young person. She spoke at a TEDx talk Berlin, which I watched yesterday, and she said that in Africa, to be able to connect a flight to Guinea-Bissau, you will first need to go to Casablanca from whichever country in Africa you're flying, and then fly to Guinea before you can now go to Guinea-Bissau. And she wonders how one cannot take a flight straight from Lagos to Guinea-Bissau. What is the problem with that? How can this continue to happen? Is it still the white man that will do that for us? Or that Africans should start thinking seriously about the fact that we are now 65 years of independence? Can we still blame the West for our problems? Can we still blame the West? Some people say no, some people said yes. What is your take? Please keep it coming. While we are waiting for some of your comments and questions, let's take a message from the organizers of this program. One of the things that they have been organized by Town Hall Communication Company Limited to help the rising generations of Africa to become that new leader for Africa, those who will change things. Please come with me as we view this. Okay, that is just a message from Town Hall Communication Company Limited regarding the African Town Hall ebook club, set up principally to help the rising generations of Africa to access books they can read very easily from their cell phones and any other gadget, laptop, desktop, iPad, tablets that they may have. And membership in that ebook club is almost to nothing. But above the cost of membership, you also have coaching, which will give you for free for being a member. And membership will also connect you to a network of friends you can connect with across Africa, across the world, but it's principally Africa, for your business plans and ideas. Also, we teach entrepreneurship through this ebook club and leadership. For example, if you sign up as a member and get other people to sign up under you, those people now become people you are responsible to lead. That is the point here. Because you have people under you, they become people you are responsible to lead. So thank you very much. We have a comment here from both Gad from Cameroon and Aruna Mohammed from Sierra Leone, and we like to put them up and then discuss them. And as you hear this, we want this to cause another discussion to begin in your mind, and you start making comments related to that. God said, very correct, foreign aid is further enslaving Africans and promoting colonialism. That is correct. African nations should ask aid within the continent, not going to IMF, Russia, China, etc. for assistance in depth. For assistance that in depth the next generation of Africans. Yeah, like Chinese loans. These are loans they take. There's even a country I had, they took loan from China, and China had to become the head of their police. And I have never had a thing like that before. That is immediate broad daylight colonialism on Africa. This one is from China this time. Now, the IMF loan, every country that touches that loan, I think it is prepared to destroy the economy of African countries so that they will be perpetually dependent on the West. So why the West is fighting the war to keep Africans perpetually dependent, Africans, in my mind, should be fighting a war to extricate themselves from any of these concoctions from the West, these foreign loans, to be able to save themselves. For example, the present administration in Nigeria have borrowed and borrowed and borrowed. They are now going to Brazil to borrow. They have borrowed from all the mainstream lenders. The next thing is that we are not just uh, subjected ourselves to British, American, Russia, European, and other countries where we over borrowed. We can no longer borrow. We are not qualified to borrow from again. We are now going to Brazil to borrow. Now, this kind of mindset of borrowing from a continent that has the highest volume of mineral and natural resources is totally unacceptable. The youth of Africa, the rising generations of Africa need to know that tomorrow never comes. You create the tomorrow, and the tomorrow needs to be created today. If you wait for tomorrow to come, it never comes. You have to create it today. And we need to stop these leaders who have no brains on how to run this continent. Except borrowing and borrowing and enslaving us totally. The fear I have, and part of why where I'm sure that is what forced the inspiration upon my soul on what we are doing, is that this continent will soon effectively be lost again. It will be recolonized again. I don't see what will stop it unless the rising generation begin to speak up, act up, and do things to change the narrative by their own hands, not by anyone else. This is why we are here. And Haran has another great comment I'd like to pull up and then we will check it. He said, indeed, bro, these companies are not helping Africa. I'm sure he's referring to the question from God, whether we should not be suing these network companies for poor services. Yes, not helping Africa of the service provided for us. And our so-called rulers masquerading in leadership form are happily winning and whining and dining with them at the expense of our lives. We are paying greatly for a service and we enjoy less, and our leaders are getting the elephant share of our flesh as our blood oozes into the mouths of the so-called protectors. I think this is a very powerful cogent this thing. And now this is in the realm of complaints. Yeah, you all those listening will agree with me that we have raised a lot of serious problems that are before us. What's the solution? Let's take a few minutes to discuss the solution and we will close the conference at that point. We still have people viewing. We want those viewing to profile solutions because that's what this conference is all about. What can we do? What can we begin now to do? All those who are conscious of the wickedness and evil that our rulers, in conjunction with foreign interests, are imposing on us. What can we do? What should we be doing? When Buchocho Gaduski Timfe from Cameroon spoke to us a few days ago, he said clearly that African youth need to join together. They need to ban when they see something happening in a particular country in Africa, they should be involved in it. And Sierra Leone journalist Haruna Mohammed said the same thing. And they spoke at different times. They were not there with each other, and their mind is on the same thing, that African youth need to unite so that, let's say, for example, the NSAS protest in Nigeria shouldn't have been left to Nigerian youth alone. Other African youth should have risen up and protested that unlawful, illegal, and wicked killing of Nigerian young people. Those Nigerian young people killed by the police and army for no just cause are Africans. And all Africans should be concerned. This is the point that Mohammed made in his conference talk, that we need to bind together and stop these people wherever it is happening. If it is happening in Cameroon, happening in Sierra Leone, happening in Nigeria, South Africa, Togo, wherever this subjugation, wherever this evil and all these things that are destroying the future of African youth is happening in the African continent, the youth should rise. Now, they don't need to take flights and take vehicles and drive down to Nigeria to join in that war. With the use of social media, they can sit back in their home with their phone and add power to the protests anywhere in Africa. So let's make effective use of the social media. Professor Willow Shenka has a great thought on social media. So, and at some point, if we have time today, we'll put that up. He wants African youth to use social media to think, to act, to discuss, and question what is going on. Let's see. God has made an additional comment. Let's see if this is comment is a response to the question, because we had a lot of questions. We need solutions. Okay. He wrote, the United Kingdom of Africa. When we look at Africa, I believe all hope isn't lost, for we have suffered for centuries with all kinds of natural plagues and man-made disasters as a result of human greed. Africa is doing well, was doing well before the coming of the colonizers that has contributed 95% to Africa's predicaments, such as the dehumanizing trans-Saharan and transatlantic slave trade, colonialism, African resistance, neo-colonialism, and recently the Chinese new economic colonialism of our continent that have uh, uh, thrust on us. Now, this is still part of the challenge. I'm looking for suggestions that can solve this problem. And Haruna has a comment here which I'd like to pull up and then for us to see. He said, the aid assistance have been my greatest problem with African countries. Now we take loan from them and later develop their land at our own detriment. They have labeled us as a poor continent and changed the mindset of Africans to believe that we are poor so that they can keep sucking from us, and we in turn fool ourselves that they are great, that they are great, but no, they aren't. We are great. Africa must be great through the rising generations. It is now, not later, so that the fire burns every corner. I'm sure every corner in the continent. So now, this is what we need. The anytime there is an issue going on in Nigeria, going on in Cairo, Egypt, going on in Ethiopia, going on in Tanzania, Zambia, in Lusaka, Zambia, in Rwanda, in Zimbabwe, South Africa, even in Lesotho, anywhere that it is happening, the whole of African youth can put their hands together and deal with it. And there are many ways that they can do this. Many, many ways. The social media is there. Use it effectively. Effectively. I think at this time, I need to share Wole Soyinka's thought on social media so that Africans, African youth especially, will learn from what this erudite Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka of Nigeria, has said on the use of social media by the young people.
So they must first of all distance themselves and ask themselves what kind of society do they really want, ideally. And they must understand that in order to replace a leadership that has failed, no matter where, they must use different methods. They must learn to approach the community on their own basis, not simply by spraying money all over the place because they don't have it. They must use the technology such as social media instead of abusing it, which many of them do. They wake up in the morning and all they do is try to be the first to comment. And their comment is vapid, unserious, normally usually abusive, instead of arguments, instead of analysis, instead of a cogent approach to social problems. And you wonder, what kind of generation is this that cannot understand the magnificence of this technology?
Okay, Professor Wole Soyinka wants all of us to understand the magnificence of this technology called the social media. And he wants us to use it effectively, to ask questions, to make cogent discussions, to reason together, to plan, to expand knowledge so that we'll be able to decide which kind of society that we want. He acknowledged the fact that the leadership has failed everywhere in Africa. And he thinks that we can use social media effectively to change that. And one of the ways were suggested clearly by Haruna Mohammed from Sierra Leone and Buchocho Gaduski Timfe from Cameroon when they spoke at this conference. They said, anywhere anything is happening in Africa, all the rising generation should join hands. So long as that thing is the youth propelled, so long as it is in the interest of developing and improving Africa, The youth should not say, oh, this is happening in Nigeria, so I have nothing to do with it. Oh, it's happening in Ghana, so I have nothing to do with it. Oh, that is Liberian issue. No. We need to know that this is an African issue. What is going on? We can't, if you take it little by little, one country at a time, it will be easy for the reactionary forces to destroy the youth. My people have a proverb concerning the broom. If you take a stick of the broom, to break it is very easy. Even an infant can break it. But if you bring a bunch of broom together, nobody can bring a bunch of broom. So if you follow Wole Soyinka's advice and follow the advice of Buchocho Gadus Kitimfe and Aruna Mohammed, the journalist from Sierra Leone, if you follow the advice, we come together, the youth will come together each time there's an issue in a country like Sierra Leone. There's an issue in a country, so long as it concerns youth, their improvement and their ability to take over the political space, then the youth all over Africa should rise up to it. And like I said, they don't need to take a transport, take a flight that costs a lot of money, or pay and be physically on the ground, where maybe even if they are using bullets, it will affect them, and you say, oh, but that is their thing. We need to know that anything that affects the youth, the rising generations of Africa, any spot in Africa, whether it is in Mozambique or in Namibia, wherever it is happening, is an African issue. Even if it is happening in Central African Republic or even in Fernando Po, in Equatorial Guinea, wherever it is happening, Togo, Benin Republic, you just name it, it is an African issue that the whole rising generations of Africa should come and stand up for. And luckily for each and every one of us, we have the social media in our hands and we can use it effectively in dealing with these matters. Okay, now I'm going to make a final attempt to see if I can get Ambassador Sahil Daniel to speak. The network is still giving problems, but I'll try to get him on and see if we can have him, and he's off again. So I think we will leave trying to connect with our speaker from Sierra Leone today. Now, we need to wrap up this session of this conference. And to do that, I would like to share a message from our studios again that will help us have clear understanding of all that the challenges we are going. I think it will be a good time to talk about the ebook club again and its purpose, why it is set up in the first place. So the ebook club. We invite all the rising generations of Africa to join the African Town Hall ebook club. The African Town Hall ebook club have books on all genres. Whatever book you want to read, there is a book. Now membership is cheap. It gives you options to have close access to over 1 million books. And there are 2 plans, gold membership and premium membership. In the gold membership, it costs only 500 Nigerian naira for a year. And during that period, you can download 4 books each month. The premium membership costs 1,000 Nigerian naira a year. You can download 10 books. And if you join the ebook club, you can do the business by inviting others. And when you invite others to the club members of the ebook club, you make 50% commission for whatever they paid. The ebook club is found at www.theafricantownhall.com/ebook club. If you go to the African Town Hall, there's also a link on the African Town Hall website to the ebook club website. The cost is less than the cost of a bottle of groundnut or peanut, as some people will call it. And it is made deliberate, and that is for a whole of 1 year. And it's made deliberate so that every African can access it. Nobody will have any excuse why they can't access it. The reason is because during this conference, we have learned that we need to read books to improve ourselves. We need personal development, and it comes from reading books. The more books you read, the more you become. It's somebody, no less a person as Napoleon Bonaparte, said that, show me a family that read books and I will show you a family that controls the world. We want the rising generation to be worthy and qualified to take over leadership in Africa. But do they read books? There's this saying that if you want to hide anything from an African, put it inside the pages of a book because it doesn't read. So we need to change that narrative. And when we change that narrative, that's when we will now begin to build those kind of leaders, people who will become real leaders in Africa, not the rulers we have today. And if we are not prepared to replace these people, when they leave, more criminally minded people than them will come. More blind and brainless rulers will come and take over. Today is the time to prepare. The African Town Hall ebook club is an opportunity for that preparation because it gives you options to read books almost for free and then learn leadership for free, learn entrepreneurship for free. And when you learn these two things, you become personally empowered. When you're personally empowered, if you get a political position in your country, you're not going to steal the money of your people because you have your own money and you know how to make money. Even when you finish ruling, you can begin afresh to make money because you know how to do it. So that's what we teach in this. All of these are dovetailing to hope and a plan we have to build a leadership school in the future. Okay, we have a comment from Mohammed, and we'll take this as our final comment to close the conference session today. And Arna Mohammed, the journalist from Sierra Leone, says, that's great one, Professor Wole Soyinka, and that has to be a strategy we must inculcate to strongly use the social media to reunite our continent. We have bloggers and different hackers. So it is good we use these expertise to get Africa on a stable footing. So I'm calling on all Africans to use social media for its actual purpose. That is great. And before we finish going through this, God also brought up a comment and he says, many African youth don't have the culture of reading. If you intend to persuade them to read, put the knowledge in beer. So sad. As you said this, God, I remember a post shared by one of my brothers on Facebook recently. He had a picture of this gentleman, I don't think I can call him gentleman, this man looking intently with his eyeballs almost popping out on the labels on a bottle of beer. And my brother in that post said that when a guy had taken too much drink, he starts reading the label of the beer. And they are saying if we if we want Africans to read books, we need to put the book inside a bottle of beer. And that is crazy, totally crazy, but true. Totally crazy, but true. Now, dear African youth, here are my final words for you at this conference today on this critical point raised by God here. In my place where I come from, they said it is not when you point at a tuber of yam with your finger, then the yam will decay. There's a tuber of yam lying in front of you. Sometimes in a yam bands, they say when people try to point fingers at yam bands, maybe people around will say, no, don't point finger at yams. And then my people will say, it is not when you point your finger on a tuber of yam or at the yam band, the yam will start decaying. So it is not because they have said that for you to be able to read, you you need to go find the book inside a bottle of beer, otherwise you won't read. I mean, it is not when they said that, then that will become you. Because he himself said that is very sad. And I agree with him. It's totally sad that is the situation. Now, let me warn African youth. If we don't read, you are going to become slaves, not just within your own country, but outside. How many young Africans die in the Mediterranean Sea every year? How many of them die in the Sahara Desert every year? Trying to cross to Europe, trying to run away from Africa because of the nonsense here. How many Africans suffer? And Ota Adepo, who spoke, the young girl I talked about who spoke on TEDx Berlin that I watched recently, she said he cannot understand how Africans have allowed things to degenerate to the point that when an African is traveling everywhere, he's scrutinized more than any other person. According to her, there's a line when he traveled to somewhere in Asia. She traveled to somewhere in Asia. She was, all the blacks were in a very long line where scrutiny was. For one person, they will spend more than 3 to 5 minutes on you before they will allow you to pass. While there's another line with white color skins, they were passing, and that one they were merely collecting their passports and stamping without looking. And she said, how can we allow this kind of a thing to happen? She even shared the more disturbing thought that even in Africa, in African countries, white people pass the airport security check faster than blacks. They line up blacks and spend hours with them. And she, recounted an experience she had in Kenya that was so sad. They queried, even insulted her. Why the long line? She said she was watching and had to ask them, why is it that this line is so short? Everybody is going with speed, and then you kept us here for all this while. And then they started berating her for trying to teach them their job. This is happening in Africa. This has got to change. If it doesn't, we will not just lose it's not about dying in the Sahara Desert. It's not about dying in the ocean in Europe. It is not about the turning us into slaves and sex slaves in the modern day time in the whole of Asia and America and Europe. Very soon we will lose even our home state. You think you're suffering right now. What you're doing now is still El Dorado. And this is the time, like all those who have spoken at this conference have said, this is the time to wake up. Read books. Books will grow your mind. Books will open your vision to the beauty and all the possibilities that are available. One of the things we teach in Project 30 Before 30 International, set up by the African Town Hall System too, by Town Hall Communication Company, is to teach personal development, which is increase the awareness of your capabilities, of your potentialities, of your skills, the skills you have and skills you need, and how you can use them to become personally empowered in such a way that you can become better than you are today. We have got to read books. We have got to read books. God sending additional this thing here. He said, many African youth are not ready to pay the price that comes with freedom. Well, I think both when God spoke to us and when Aruna Mohammed spoke to us, they all mentioned clearly, and other speakers, even Kelly Church, they mentioned clearly that freedom is what we are fighting for. And freedom is not giving free. Though it's freedom, you fight for it. If you are not ready to fight for freedom, you're going to be a slave. And if you're complaining that your condition is so bad now, remember, it's going to get worse unless you begin to change. Luckily for us, there's social media. I'm reaching you through this medium without having to do anything except to have data on my system. And this is automatically going live on Facebook and on YouTube. And these videos will remain there. And you can pull them down through the social media system, through the internet, and view them and learn. Join the ebook club. It's also in internet, and learn. It's almost like free for you to join and learn. Because if you don't develop this mind, if you cannot think, you're going to be a slave. And one of our speakers in this conference said clearly that the extent of somebody, I think it was Aruna Mohammed, he said the extent of someone's freedom or someone else is, that is Nkoro from Nigeria. He said the extent of someone's freedom is, it has a direct relationship to their ability to read books and think. So if you cannot improve your thinking capabilities, you are going to be a slave. Your freedom is dependent on your ability to think. I invite you to read. Don't join the ebook club. Find other ways and read. All I want is just to read. The reason it was set up for it to read. If it is set up for money, it will cost a lot more than that. And where they value book, some people are prepared to pay 10 times that, and it will still be cheaper than the ways they buy their books and get their books. But this one is available with added opportunities of coaching, seminars, workshops, leadership training, and entrepreneurship training, and all of them are coming for free. Rise up, Africa. You got to fight for freedom, otherwise you'll be a slave. If you think your situation is bad now, Stay how you are. Don't improve yourself. In the next 5 years, 10 years, you'll be worse off. We are just trying to warn you and bring you out of that doldrum, bring you out of that wicked place, bring you out of that situation that will not do you good. Thank you, everyone who have been at this conference today. This is still the African Youth Conference 2020 on the theme, the African Leadership Question, Problems and Prospects. And we are today on this special afternoon edition, this 29th day of December. We have tried to, x-ray very critical questions and answer very critical questions and issues dealing with how African Renaissance can be brought to be. We invite you to stay with us with your comments, share this. There will be watch parties on this in future. We want you to join, to participate in it. We want you to share it, like it. Still make your comments on YouTube and on Facebook. And when you visit our YouTube channel, we invite you to subscribe to it so that we can have more power to be able to keep getting across to you. YouTube, we make sure that our message goes viral if we have many subscribers. If our subscriber base is small, we won't be viral. But if our subscriber base is big, they will be viral. So we invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You're already using data, pinging on Facebook. Use it to go to YouTube channel and learn. Go to our YouTube channel and get this conscientizing and expose yourself to where Africa is going next. Thank you very much for being with us at this conference. We hope you have learned a thing or two that will help change the way you see things. And Haruna had told us that day that a reading mind is a mind that is set for development. So Haruna told us this when he spoke at the conference. When you read, then you are preparing your mind for development. I would like to keep sharing this for us. And God is very active with us today and say, how can African youth empower themselves? Okay, I will take this question head on because we are tidying up for this session. And the way that African youth can empower themselves is through study. If you have the opportunity to go to the 4 walls of a university, please go. Very important, critical. But if you don't, even if you are a mechanic, you're a cobbler, you're a carpenter, you are a servant in a house, please read books. When you read books, you cannot lift yourself from where you are unless you lift your mind from where it is. And it is books, the ideas of other people that lift your mind. Here is what contained in books. And this is a quote I have. I made this quote about books. Books contain blessings that God has already given to you. All you need is to walk to it, open that page of the book and take your blessing. That's how I see books. So read books. That's how to empower yourself. Join Project 30 Before 30 International and ask for a copy of the manifesto of Project 30 Before 30 International. Inside that manifesto, we gave a message of the project objective, the project principles, the idea, the statement of the problem of African youth, and so on and so forth. And then we had 3 vehicles, 3 pursuits in Project 30 Before 30 International. Number 1 is personal development. If you don't develop yourself through reading books, through learning, through increasing your skills and abilities, you cannot be empowered. But if you gain personal development, which comes from reading books, learning new traits, new skills, being more valuable in the society, then this increased value will enable you to gain more power, to empower yourself through, as you provide more service to humanity, more resources will come to you. Nature itself channels resources to where they will be put to use. So making yourself valuable, increasing your ability through personal development, through learning, through going to school if you can, and through studying online or reading books that are available. As you increase in your mental capabilities, you will see more opportunities to make money. And when you make those money, you now have the power that you need to serve more. That's how life develops. And as you begin to serve more, if you listen to Kelechi Ochulo from Nigeria during his conference talk, he said, as soon as you increase your personal capability, you now see opportunities to use the power to serve. And as you now serve, the people will now rely on you. They will call you forth to come and lead them. That's how to have personal empowerment. That's how the youth can empower themselves. If you are waiting for aid agencies, waiting for your government agencies, waiting for your church or anybody, your brother, uncle, to do these things for you, there's very limited to what they can do is very limited. But there's so much that you can do for yourself. Many men and women that I know who are successful today made themselves. Some of them may have had opportunities from parents and siblings and helpers, but the truth is that to really be, you have to make yourself. We have many people, especially children of rich men, who cannot become anything. Reason? They have all the opportunities for anything they want to do, but because their mind is not open to personal development, they waste the opportunity of all the money their parents have made or stolen, depending on how their parents got the money. So the point is, youth empowerment is a personal project. It starts with personal development. When this mind is increased, you get it. I think Haruna Muhammad's comment during his time at this conference is very helpful. A reading mind is a mind that is set up for development. So if you start reading, you become more developed. This is what he's saying there. So, and if you are now developed personally, personal development, then you can have personal empowerment, which is the question that God has just asked us. Okay. We need to wrap up at this time. I hope everyone has learned one thing or two. I want to thank all those who have participated both through comments, likes, and their presence in this conference today. We want you to keep this discussion going. Let's take the Council of Wole Soyinka, Professor Wole Soyinka, to use social media to connect with this conference. The last day is tomorrow. We have 2 sessions tomorrow. We can get more sessions if there are people available to speak. But 2 sessions are primarily available tomorrow, one at 11 a.m. Nigerian time and another one at 8 p.m. Nigerian time. We want many people to come and speak. We have a number of people who are lined up, including some well-known journalists. Solomon of Leading Reporters will be one of our speakers tomorrow, and we have a number of others who are coming. So please be there and help us to move Africa forward, to give you this light you need for your personal empowerment, so that if you are empowered, you can take back Africa. If youth are not empowered, they can't take Africa from these bad rulers, I assure you. And my work and my prayer and my advocation is to help the rising generations of Africa to get personal development, personal empowerment, so that they can midwife the renaissance of the African continent. Have a great day and a great week. Thank you, everyone.